Holyfield that landed.
Right hand from Tyson, looked a great shot, but Holyfield just sucked it up again. This man, whose wife is a specialist in pain management.
But this has been a much better round for Tyson. He's getting off first, he's landing with effective punches.
Oh, and some nasty stuff in there. There needs to be a bite almost. Holyfield is very unhappy. Look at this. It looked as if Tyson bared his teeth at one stage in the exchange.
Yes,
bit his ear.
He bit his ear. That's what Holyfield was in a lot of pain from that. You see the blood on the ear. That was definitely a bite.
Well, feelings are running very, very hot indeed in there. Holyfield was outraged by that. Now, what is the referee going to do about that? 1 point deduction for Tyson. 1 point deducted from Mike Tyson for biting Holyfield's ear. Now, let's take a look again.
Yes, it's just here. He gets into the position there. Watch. You see he stays there. There he bites him there. You see him lift his teeth. And Holyfield in agony at that point, trying to rip free. In an awful lot of pain.
Well, this is getting like a street fight. It'll take more than that to stop Holyfield going on, but we have all kinds of chaos. Mark Ratner is there, the Nevada commissioner on the far side. We've got the doctor in the ring as well. This is only round 3. What next? Now, could Tyson even be disqualified?
I'm sure that possibility is very, very real.
Should he be disqualified?
Well, it was blatant. I mean, it was a terrible thing to do. And there was an awful lot of blood there. Looked a really bad injury.
Well, after all the build-up this fight has had and all the money it's generating around the world, it would take a brave referee to end it by disqualification at this point. But we've had a long, long break here and a lot of discussion going on. But I think the fight is going to continue.
Well, this is where Holyfield will need that pain management that his wife is a doctor in, because he must be in pain from that.
Well, this is a real grudge match now. And Tyson again looked as if he was about to have another fight. Holyfield is furious. Tyson clearly feels he needs to do something to rock Holyfield's composure. But he's really going a long, long way beyond the Queensberry rules in doing it. Holyfield's talking to him now. Well, that was an extraordinary round. It was an outrageous foul by Tyson, really.
It was terrible. It showed the real brute, the beast that he is. And I think, you know, this is a sport and you shouldn't ever have to revert to that, especially in this level of boxing. It really showed for what he is. I mean, that was terrible to do that to a sportsman like Holyfield. And there he is. He really sunk his teeth in there.
Well, the crowd are booing because they've just seen the slow motion on the big screen. Now what's going on in the ring? There seems to be some kind of altercation going on.
It looks like he could have been disqualified. The fight could be over. Certainly the Holyfield camp had their arms in the air at one point there, and everybody jumped into the ring.
We have confusion here at the moment about what exactly has happened. Holyfield's camp threw their arms off. Now we've got a fight going on in the ring between various camps. Tyson wants to join in with it. Oh, and this is getting totally out of control now.
Tyson is the one who started it, and he's the one who's furious. He's the one that's causing all the problems. He's trying to get at Holyfield here.
And I wonder whether this fight will be able to go on after all of this. I don't think it can. I think that Tyson may well have been disqualified. These are sad and ugly scenes. We have had no official announcement, but certainly Holyfield and his camp believe that they have won the fight. We await clarification. Tyson certainly wanted to continue the argument and looked to be engaging some of the Holyfield camp followers in a separate fight.
Because he was the one, he was trying to get at Holyfield at that point, and I think there was people trying to stop him, and it all broke loose. But he was the one that was out of control. Look at the injury, Ian. That's a terrible injury to the ear.
Well, it looks like a bit of the ear has been absolutely bitten off, doesn't it?
It does. It looked like he's took a chunk out there.
And there he took a second bite, as I thought.
Against a great fighter like Holyfield. He will not want to win the fight like that. He will want to beat Tyson fair and square, and I think really all Tyson did was not allow that to happen. It was terrible. It showed a brute, an animal in Tyson. You know, he couldn't win fairly, so he had to try and do that.
He not only bit Holyfield once, he did it a second time. Mills Lane drafted in as the last minute.
Second foul. I told him, do not do that again. You do, you're gone.
So he could have continued. The physical condition of Evander Holyfield was such a view that he could have continued had he not disqualified Tyson.
Well, I didn't ask the doctor. I never reached that point. I wasn't going to ask the doctor. That wasn't a question. That kind of foul would be. You got to take a position sometime, somewhere. That was it.
Pandemonium breaking out here as Mike Tyson is leaving the ring, and we'll continue with Mills Lang. As you see people getting knocked over, our camera goes down. Mills, let me continue here. Mike Tyson's people and Tyson are going to say, I'm sure you didn't call a foul on the headbutt, which caused the eye, and this could have been a retaliation by Tyson.
I called it a butt.
But you didn't take a point.
An unintentional butt, you don't take a point. An unintentional butt, unless it's occurred the second time. An unintentional butt, if he fights stop, you go to the scorecards after 4 rounds. There's a difference between an unintentional butt and a bite.
Do you feel as though that's what Tyson was doing, however, that he was retaliating?
I do not know. You'll have to ask him. I don't speculate. I do not know the answer to that.
Obviously, disappointment. Mills, got to be disappointing for you to have it come to a conclusion like this as well.
You know, you play the hand you dealt and do the best you can with the card. That's all I can tell you.
All right, Mills Lane, thank you for your time.
Well, how ironic that Mills Lane, the referee brought in after the Tyson camp protested about the original choice, Mitch Halpin, is the referee who has disqualified Mike Tyson. This is, well, it's another sensational ending in its own way, but a sensation we did not want.
No, really, you can't describe it. I mean, the people who have paid an awful
As
lot
we
of
thought
money.
of this week.
All right, Evander Holyfield, 2 bites on each side. 1 piece is missing out of your plastic surgeon said. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, I had to give praise to the Lord. You know, Jesus, Lord, you know, I'm still the champ. He still get the glory. And, you know, the things that happened, it didn't have to happen. You know, I was beating him, and, you know, he spit out of my mouthpiece and bit me in the ear.
Is that the act of a crazed man? Because to beat you twice, I mean, to bite you twice is a little crazy.
Well, you know, the whole thing is that, you know, in the first one, you know, my corner, you know, told me to just keep cool. And, I thought about that, you know, a distraction would happen, and his prophets told me to, just breathe deep and just concentrate on Jesus. Then I went back out there again, and I caught him with good shots, and he bit my ear on purpose again.
But how can he bite your ear with a mouthpiece? Spit it out and then
He spit the mouthpiece out. He spit the mouthpiece out and bit me on the ear. For the last time, you know, the whole thing is that, you know, really, the only chance that he thought he could is just to go. My whole thing is that, you know, the whole thing is my ear bleeding, and this guy continued to foul. You know, I'm thankful that we have a referee like Mill Lane see the situation that this thing is intention. And, you know, it's just amazing when.
Would this rule out a rematch? It's stupid to ask you right now for a rematch. This guy went and lost his marbles. Is a rematch possible, or are you so mad you wouldn't even think about
Well,
that?
you know, the whole thing is that, you know, I have to concentrate and I have to think, you know, have to think about the situation. Because the big thing is to you know, rules and regulation, mandatory things. But the rules, you got to understand when a person deliberately bites you constantly and trying to break my arm because, you know, in the corner he's just doing illegal tactics. You know, Mill Lane said you don't break. You know, the whole thing is that there's just an easy way to get out of the fight, the foul, because you know you're gonna get disqualified instead of fighting through. I'm saying that don't show no courage whatsoever. Everybody know how to get out of the fight. All you have to do is foul. You'll get yourself out. Then you can say, well, he didn't beat me.
Would you say this is an act of a desperate man? Would you say he was desperate in there? Is that the word you think, to cause a guy to do something so unusual?
Well, just the whole thing is that, you know, I truly believe that fear itself causes people to do the easiest thing, the quickest thing to get out. I'm saying the whole thing is that we're in the fight already. So why do you have to bite somebody? If you feel that you can whoop me, why you can't whoop me with the gloves on? This is a boxing match. This is not a rumble. When the fight is over, then you get brave and you really want to fight. I'm saying, you had a chance to fight. You know, why you got to bite on my ear? The whole thing is that, you know, it's not real. You know, the whole thing is that I just give praise to the Lord that it's not worse than it is. I thought my ear had fell off.
Well, your plastic surgeon here says a piece is missing out of your ear, which means you'll have to have a plastic repair, and either ear, since human bites are so dangerous, have to be taken care of tonight at the hospital.
I look forward to going to the hospital. Good thing I got a doctor.
All right.
Second round was open a gash on your eye. Tell us about that first bit.
He butted me in the first round, but then he butted me again in the second round. Then as soon as he butted me, I watched him. He had me holding, and he looked right at me, and I saw him, and he was going for, and he kept going for it, and he butted me again. He kept going down and coming up, and he charged into me. And no one warned him. No one took any point for him. What am I to do? This is my career. I can't continue getting butted like that. I got children to raise, and this guy keeps butting me, trying to cut me and get me stopped on cut. I got to retaliate.
Now, immediately you stopped. You stopped fighting immediately right there, and you turned to Mills Lane and you said what? And the result was he did nothing. But what did you say to Mills right at that time?
I don't remember what I said. I told him that he butted me, but I know I complained about being butted, and we complained about the first fight. Listen, Holyfield's not the tough warrior everyone says he is. He got little nicks on his head, and he quit. I got an eye. I got one eye. He's not impaired. He got ears. I got one eye. Big day. If we take one, I got another one. I'm ready to fight. He didn't want to fight. I'm ready to fight him right now.
Mills Lane stopped the fight. It wasn't Holyfield who stopped.
Oh, he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight.
Let me ask.
We don't know what Mills did. Don't put nothing on Mills.
Well, Mills said he stopped the fight. You bit him. Was that a retaliation for the eye when you bit him in his ear?
Regardless of what I did, he butted me for 2 fights.
But you got to address it, Mike.
I did address it. I addressed it in the ring.
Why did you do that, though, Mike? I mean, was that the proper response?
Look at me. I got to go home and my kids are going to be scared of me. Look at me, man.
What are you going to do now in terms of your career, Mike? Well, you continue to fight. Okay.
Well, extraordinary.
Okay, Don King. Obviously, not the way that anybody expected that this was going to go. Very disappointing to everybody who bought the fight and those in attendance here. Your thoughts on this disqualification?
Well, I think that the headbutts was there, and I think that when he had the headbutts, and as he had headbutts prior to that, it should have been some type of a point taken away or something to acknowledge these headbutts, because this was said so prior before the fight started, to watch the headbutts. You know what I mean? And so it's very difficult when two athletes are fighting. You know what I mean? And things can happen, but these headbutts seemingly.
Don, but the fact of the matter is the headbutts. Yes, it is a problem. Everybody will acknowledge that Holyfield was in violation with the headbutts. The proper reaction, however, is not to bite, correct?
Well, the proper reaction is not to bite. You know what I mean? But I guess when a guy feels that he's pleading with the referee to give him some consideration and he don't get the consideration, then he just goes beyond reason. I mean, you must be able to deal with reason and practicality, but you got two athletes in there, highly passionate, very hot, ready to fight, and fight they would do, and the fight was just beginning. I don't know why it would be stopped.
Well, because Holyfield, it was determined by Mills Lane. Well, let me stop you right there before we go on to that. You're saying Mills Lane should not have stopped the fight on the second fight?
No, when Holyfield got bitten, Mills Lane said he took a point from Mike Tyson.
Then a second point.
And what are the second point?
And then at the end of the round, Mills Lane has said that Tyson bit him on the other ear, which in this instance I believe would be the left ear. 2 bites on the ear.
I didn't see it, so I can't comment on that.
That's why he disqualified.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to see that before I make any comments. I don't want to be irrational.
Okay. Let's move on. Where does this leave Mike Tyson in his career, and will there be a third bout between these two, and do you think you could ever put anything like that together?
Well, I want to find out first the facts, and then after you find out the facts, you see what you can do. I think that when a fighter like Mike Tyson or Holyfield find that they're being wrong and they're not getting the consideration that they think they should have, then they try to take it in their own hands, and that's not always the right thing to do. But nevertheless, that's what's been done when you have people out there that's in this type of atmosphere and climate, and it looked like they were just beginning to fight.
Could you ever, do you feel, convince Holyfield to take this fight again?
I don't know. I don't know whether I can or not until we find out what all of the evidence is and find out what is happening, what actually happened. You know what I mean? I'm just like a fan as anyone else at this particular time.
It'd be a terrible disappointment if there wasn't another, correct?
Yeah, it certainly would be, because these guys certainly don't prove that they're two good athletes, but they got to be able to fight, and they want to fight, and it looked like that's what they were doing. I didn't know. I thought after the points were taken, that was the punishment meted out for whatever the error was in Mike Tyson. What happened after that, I don't know, because when he sat down, the bell rang, he went to the corners, I thought they was coming back out to fight, and all of a sudden it was a DQ.
I know you don't make this decision, but should these fighters be paid for this evening's work? There's some $60-some-odd million who went out tonight, out of your pocket.
Yes, they should be paid. They came and they fought. You know what I mean? Boxing is unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen in a boxing match. That's what makes it so great. But the fact of the matter is, I think we should first try to find out what happened before we start making judgment.
What do you say to the folks who bought the fight, who are terribly disappointed, who are watching this right now?
I'm disappointed myself because of the outcome. I want to see this fight go to the finale. You know what I mean? This was the Sound and the Fury. It was something that everybody purported and recognized as going to be a great event. And then here comes the headbutts, and then here comes the retaliation for the headbutts. But after you get taking the points from the man, I just think that they should have been able to fight. If you get a headbutt or a low blow, you get 5 minutes to recuperate. I think it should have took another step to say, give them 5 minutes to recuperate or something, to let these people get their money's worth and be able to deal with this fight.
As the man in charge of this show, I've got to put you on the spot right here. What will you do in the upcoming moments to make sure that we have a word with Mike Tyson before we leave the air?
Well, I'm going to do everything I can to talk to Mike Tyson, to let Mike Tyson tell his side of the story. I think it's only fair and proper that he should do that, and I would do everything I can to get him to do that. Also, would like to get to talk to the commission and find out what their judgment is on a situation of this type. And when this has happened, after you take the points, to come back and take the fight too. I don't understand it, so maybe they can explain it to me.
Well, as you say, only in America, and only in America.
Well, Jim Gray was the